it should in the afternoon.
Did you just get an alert that it's live streaming?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I just give it a minute. And there's usually like a 30-second-ish delay on the actual stream. So cool. We didn't really talk about it, but I guess I want to just start by introducing who the heck you are and why you're showing up on this live stream. Let me just see. Yep. I don't know how to get it to do a split screen. Let me see if I can change that. See if that changes it. Okay. You want to go ahead and tell us who you are?
No, just kidding. I'm Laura Bagley, and I am one of Leah's clients.
Yeah, and just like a little about you that like, you know, makes you more human, like
makes me more human. I'm a mom and a wife, and I live in Everett, Washington, which is probably half an hour north of Seattle. I know Leah through our nail polish group, letting all of those secrets out into the world. I currently work from home most of the time. I'm a staff accountant for a luxury and custom home builder. So it's a very glamorous job.
It sounds fun.
It's pretty fun. I have some really great coworkers, and I get to see houses that I would never otherwise see.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, so the reason I invited you here today is because you and I have been working together for over a year now, and we started working together December before last in my 3-month program. And I always get a lot of questions about like what coaching is really like. And I think that it's like easiest for people to really understand, to hear from somebody that's gone through that experience. And so I wanted to invite you here today to do that. And so why don't you just tell us a little bit about like what brought you, I guess, to saying yes to coaching?
Well, there were many reasons, but the main and most important for me was the fact that I was kind of stuck, or I was over feeling like I was stuck in the patterns of dieting and losing weight, gaining it back, beating myself up for falling off track or a cheat meal, and kind of feeling like it had undone all of the progress I've made. I was really uncomfortable in my own skin, and while not every day is a perfectly positive day these days, I definitely try to keep it more neutral, if nothing else. The more uncomfortable I was with myself, the more anxiety I had, and my anxiety kind of presents itself in the form of moodiness, irritable, and because I work from home and I am a mom and a wife, those people closest to me are the ones that suffer the most, and it's not a good situation for anybody, and it's not fun. So the more I learned how to just be healthy overall, the better my relationships were. And I was really just looking for that change in mindset that you were able to give me. So
yeah, and I hear like a lot just from moms especially that have a hard time saying yes to themselves and taking care of themselves, and always like, you know, thinking that there's not enough time or money or whatever, there's other priorities that are more important. And but I think like once you kind of start getting into it, you realize that you can show up as your better self with your partner and your kids, and like by taking care of you, that is going to have a domino effect to all these other areas of your life.
Yep.
Yeah. So like when we first started working together, what were you like hoping to get out of our time?
I was really hoping to get kind of get away from the diet culture mentality and figure out what exactly I needed to feel healthy. Like, did I want to lose weight? Well, what other things are there to judge healthy besides weight? So I was looking for, what kind of exercise can I do that doesn't feel like work or exercise? Like, I want to enjoy it so I can be consistent. I was looking for like how should I be eating? If I'm not dieting, how should I be eating? Like, do I have to restrict things? No, I can still eat everything I want. And learning about the hunger and fullness cues was really like a game changer for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think, all of intuitive eating is really about cranking up the dial and like how we're paying attention to what our body is actually doing, right? Like we get on autopilot with our eating and we don't actually like slow down and pay attention to how certain foods make us feel and like those hunger and fullness cues and things. And so, it's really about feeling more, I guess, connected to ourselves. At least that's my takeaway from learning kind of these intuitive eating principles.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What were like your biggest kind of like aha moments or takeaways in working with coaching?
Basically everything. Definitely the hunger and fullness cues, and kind of just being really aware of how my body felt after I ate certain foods. Like, how do I feel after I eat white bread, like good old Wonder Bread? How do I feel after I eat sugary foods? How do I feel after I eat vegetables? Like, those are things that I never really paid attention to, but I definitely do now. And I am realizing my body is craving vegetables. It's craving a salad. It's craving more water. It's craving less sugar. And the more sugar I eat, the worse I feel. And before, I never would have kind of associated that with what I'm eating necessarily. Also, just kind of the sea bear mindset, that has been a game changer for me, because a lot of my feelings and my thoughts and my anxiety is like stuff that I've created inside myself, but I kind of push it off on other people unfairly. So having that kind of framework to reframe my thoughts has been fantastic, and it's been really a positive change in my life.
Yeah, the when I was kind of reflecting on the biggest takeaways for you that I witnessed, the sea bear model is definitely what came front of mind for me. And like that, I remember that session was like, I could like feel like I could see a light bulb like literally going off above your head. And so for those of you that are watching that don't know what sea bear is, you probably don't, because not a lot of people do, but it's a thought model. The idea is that, our thoughts create our feelings, which lead us to take certain actions, which get us our results. And I'm actually going to be using it next week in the Diet Breakup Challenge. And I'm really excited to get to like try and explain it to more people. And because I do think it is life-changing. I know that when I first learned it, I was like, my mind was blown. So like, what would you say is different for you in your life now, like on a day-to-day basis, besides just, listening to your body a little bit more? Is there other things that are takeaways for you?
Movement. I don't have to feel like I'm not moving my body or not getting movement in. If I'm not sweating, I don't have to wonder how many calories I've burned. Like, I don't associate movement and exercise necessarily with the highest amount of calories I can burn now.
The dog walk counts.
Yes, dog walk, dancing in the kitchen, just literally aimlessly walking through my house. Like, that's movement if I'm not sitting on the couch or laying in bed. It's all movement.
Yeah.
Planting bulbs. I spent like almost 2 hours planting bulbs a couple weekends ago, and the next 3 days I was so sore. It's like, geez.
Gardening always me.
Yeah. And Eating. Like last night, I really wanted Dairy Queen. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I have been craving Dairy Queen for like the last 3 or 4 nights. Thankfully, I have always been craving it after they've closed. But last night I was like, okay, I really want something. So I found some vanilla ice cream and I had some espresso on it and I made affogato and I'm like, this is fantastic. This is delicious. And I just saved myself 800 calories and feeling really awful afterwards.
Yeah, and it totally like satisfies that craving.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's that whole idea of like if we tell our brain like something, no, it's off limits, of like, no, you can never have ice cream, you can never have a blizzard again, then that's all it's gonna want. But if we can give ourselves permission to indulge in those cravings when they arise, then it doesn't seem like we get that satisfied and it's not off limits and we don't overdo it either, right?
Right. And that was the thing. With a blizzard, like I easily could have eaten probably a medium. I don't know. But, I had 1 scoop of ice cream and 1 shot of espresso and I was completely satisfied. So I didn't overeat and I didn't feel guilty afterwards. I didn't feel like I had to go on a walk. I was just very, very happy.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think all of this is about, is just, it really boils down to being happier with our food choices and not constantly beating ourselves up about. I know that one of your big goals when we started working together was just not having that guilt around food. And we actually talked about that in our session this week, that you don't really get that sense of guilt anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So when we first started working together, you did my 3-month program, which is a more intensive weekly sessions, which is how most people start working with me. What would you say to somebody that's like, I kind of think I maybe want to do it, but I don't know. I don't really know if this is something that's right for me or if I have the time.
I would say that you're even in the least bit curious to at least do your discovery call with you, because that will give everybody a feel for, can I help them? Is this something that I want? Is this something that would be beneficial for me? And if the answer is yes, even remotely yes, then just go for it, because there are things that you touch on that are beyond what I ever would have expected, and things that I didn't even know I needed, things that I didn't know I would actually be implementing into my life, like the magic plate. I love having kind of a visual when I'm plating my meals, instead of, oh, I need to have 2 cups of vegetables and a third of a cup of carbs. Like I don't have to worry about measurements. It's a magic plate. It's magic. I would just say, just go for it. You don't know what you need and what is going to help you until you just give it a try.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what the consultation call is for, is to dig a little bit deeper and have a better understanding of what it would look like together. And I can say with like 100% certainty that anybody that does a consult walks away with something, even if it's choosing not to move forward in an engagement with me. I've had a consult who, like a week later, she was like, I just can't afford it, which is great. I get it. It's not in everybody's budget. But then she, like 2 weeks later, signed up to work with both a nutritionist and a personal trainer. And I think that's fantastic. Like, it is not my goal in life to have everybody work for me. With me, I'm not the best person for everyone, and everyone's not the best person for me. And that's what that call is about. And you'll always walk away with more clarity on like what it is you really want for yourself, and likely going to walk away with some good action steps for yourself too. So it's definitely not a waste of time either way.
Not at all.
Yeah. And I love doing them. They're so much fun. And I love just getting to meet with people. So after you did your 3-month program, I offer something called maintenance mode, where we just check in like once a month. So when, we wrapped up and I made that offer to you, you obviously took me up on it, but what was it about that was appealing?
I do really well when I have somebody that's going to help keep me accountable. I struggle with self accountability being pretty non-existent, and also self-sabotage. And you provide a very safe, positive, non-judgmental space for kind of tackling any challenges that come up and breaking down bigger goals into bite-sized pieces to make them more attainable, and also have smaller successes to celebrate along the way to this bigger goal, which who doesn't want to celebrate more? So
Yeah,
it just kind of was a no-brainer for me to keep going, especially to have that ongoing support. And the weekly check-ins are, even though I'm really bad at remembering to do them, when I do remember to do them, it's great to reflect on the good and the bad, or the good and the challenges of the week, and just know that you're reading them and you're there to talk about it the next time we meet. So
yeah. What would you say is like the hardest part of this whole experience for you?
probably being really honest with myself. It's really hard to be honest and get down to the root cause of whatever issues there are, like why do I snack so much, or why does working out feel so hard? Just really being honest is really challenging, but the reward that comes from it is way better than not being honest with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really great. And I think that like it's especially hard to be honest with ourselves. And then it's also harder to even like communicate that to somebody else, where there's like maybe this fear of judgment, or like, and you and I know each other in real life and have like mutual friends and all of this. So it's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, I imagine that I think that's a really good challenge that you just shared. So thank you for that. Was there anything that like really just kind of surprised you, or I guess surprised you about the process of coaching?
I think all of it was kind of a surprise, but a really good surprise. I didn't know what to expect at all, but each week, even if I have no idea what I need, you have a way of just figuring it out just by asking questions. Yes, pulling at anything that I'm going to give you to figure out what I could possibly need. It's just been really interesting and fascinating to see how you work and how it changes my mindset and just kind of how I live day to day without even realizing that I'm changing.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the best part, is because if we try and change too much or do things that are too big, that's where it kind of sends our brain into that flight response of like, no, this is too much, this is too hard, we're not doing it. And so it's really important to break things down really small. But then we get like, am I doing enough? Like, is this really adding up to progress? So that's where it's really important to have the reflection, and also somebody to reflect back to you of like, hey, you're actually doing really awesome. Like, how many of us have a personal cheerleader in their life?
Not many, not enough.
Oh, awesome. Anything else that you think is important to know?
Just that you're awesome and what you're doing is fantastic.
Thank you. Well, and I hope that even just people are just learning and able to make changes on their own, even with the, content and stuff that I'm providing, because I know that, coaching isn't accessible for everybody. But I hope that, people are getting value out of it. Because I do think it's important. I think that, especially for women as a whole, right? We have a lot of shame around our bodies and really negative relationships with food. And I think it really holds us back from showing up as our best selves in the world. It's like, imagine what women could do collectively if we stopped caring about diets and weight loss. Like,
right.
There's so much potential, so much
energy to be put into other things.
Yeah. So that's my feminist rant for the day. But yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for hopping in today. I think this is awesome. And I think, I definitely am hoping to bring on some more people that are willing to share their experiences as well. And yeah, I think that's all we have.
Awesome.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.